one night I went out to the West Village. I had made all of these round stickers that kind of resembled coins, but like they were very gay, very phallic, lots of like penises and rainbows and just like all
Yes.
these like, I moved to New York City to be like a badass artist and I'm the new Banksy. I'm the new gay Banksy, bitch. So like, let's do this.
Hey, welcome to the Gifted Conversations, where I'm talking to people who are sharing their gift with those around them and the world at large. My guest today is Tyler Wallach. He's an independent queer artist. We talked about early beginnings, living out loud, being New York nice, cosmic moments, and so much more. I had such a blast and couldn't stop laughing during this thing. Hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Tyler Wallach, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for doing this, man.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is great. I'm glad we finally got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's been, feel like kind of like a long time coming, but hey, here we are.
Yeah.
So just to kind of get things started, so you're an artist and a fashion designer. Am I
Yeah.
missing something else that you do? Or can you just tell me a bit more about your brand and what you're up to?
Yeah, absolutely. So my brand is called Tyler Wallach Studio, and I kind of call myself, I guess, an independent queer artist. I have
Mm.
different facets of art that I participate in, but just calling yourself a graphic artist kind of covers canvas paintings, covers the designs that I do that I turn into textiles, that I have made into fabrics and sewn into clothing, and so and then there's a bit of graphic design work as well. So I try to think, how can you give a name to someone who does so many things, but a jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even from just looking over some of the press and some of the work you've done, yeah, you just cover a lot of facets. So I was trying
And
not to miss anything.
it almost can be overwhelming. I had a meeting with Saks Fifth Avenue about Pride 2020 before everything fell apart because of COVID. And she was like, I have to say, it's like really overwhelming to try and figure out what it is that you do in a way that we'd want to work with you, because you just kind of are very malleable and you can kind of do all sorts of different things, which I think is my strongest selling point.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what a compliment that is as well, that you are so versatile in so many things. That's dope.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you learn really quick. All of these clients are at different price points and they all want something so special and unique. And when you can change your product just a little bit, I think that some artists have a little too much artistic integrity and they're not really willing to change things around for the client as much as they could. And, it can sort of possibly take away from your overall idea for some artistic project, but it can also bring you work again next year because you're easy to work with.
Yeah, no, that makes I totally believe that, and it's only recently I'm kind of trying to figure out a way to get out of my own way, because I think perhaps my artistic integrity is also a weakness of mine, where it's just like, no, this is art, this isn't commerce, blah blah blah. But
Totally, totally. I mean, and that's a really interesting line that I sort of draw for myself between like how commercial of an artist are you willing to be, and then like how much of a fine artist are you wanting to be, and can you market yourself as both? And in my experience, yes, for some clients, there's nonprofit work to be done, which you shouldn't quote as high for a project for that. But I mean, if Viacom comes knocking on the door, well, then we bring out the high quotes. We bring out the high quotes. We bring out the manager emails and yeah, stuff like that.
that's amazing. I'm fully on board with that. So just to kind of get started from some of the beginning stuff, what were some of the formative experiences of you kind of learning and starting to create? And then what was it about kind of the visual aspect and then clothing that you were drawn to?
I think that I had always thought that I was always doing theater my entire life. So as an outlet, even in junior high and high school, if I could take an art class, I would. Art was something that I always wanted to do, but I never thought I could, simply because I was not good at still life drawing. I remember taking an art class in like seventh grade, and it was like a still life class. And it's basically like the person who draws what they see the best wins in my mind. No one's really
Yeah.
supposed to win, but I'm a very yeah, competitive person probably. So yeah, I couldn't really ever draw what I saw. So I think later in life, after I realized like you can still be an artist and it doesn't have to be about still life or landscapes or mountains or whatever. I think that there's probably something special that I found out later in college as an outlet to stop taking dance classes and acting classes and singing classes. I took a screen printing course, and the objective of it was to draw something that you are. So uh, it gave me an opportunity to take things out of the context of still life and to create my own world. And then that's sort of where the success behind it came. But I've always been interested in bright colors. And I think luckily being a kid, having grown up in the 90s, there was plenty of, that 80s neon mixed patterns with like, the Saved by the Bell introduction song. Like those are all like t-shirt patterns, from the 90s and stuff like that. So that type of clothing, the all over print clothing where it's not just a t-shirt with something in the middle, but the print is on the entire thing, that really always stuck with me.
Yeah, and as we're doing this on a video, I can see the shirt that you're wearing and just some of the clothing I've seen on your site and whatnot. I love that. I love that the print is all over the entire thing. It's not just like where I've got a shirt that's just like a logo on the
Yeah,
front. The
yeah.
entire thing's
And
covered.
I think it was something that I thought could help my brand stand out. And I mean, like I said before, I'm a kid of the 90s, so I grew up on Rugrats and Hey Arnold and Ah Real
Yes,
Monsters and Doug, you
same.
know. Yeah, so it's like I still continue with that type of look, that type of character, that type of aesthetic. And yeah, luckily I think a bunch of the 90s kids are old enough now to get the throwback.
Yeah, no, totally. And those shows you mentioned, I totally grew up on them. Some of those are my favorite. And, I think I watched like an episode of Doug kind of in the last 6 months as well. So
Yes. So it's on Hulu, and I've just actually started rewatching it from the very beginning, just to sort of like catch the story of the whole thing, if there is one. It's a very loose story, but yeah, I'm really enjoying the nostalgia of some old cartoons lately.
yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out again. And we were talking about, you were mentioning some of your earlier theater stuff. I think
Yeah,
I was reading at some point that you also, some of like the earlier designs, you were like kind of designing on like "Hello, my name is" stickers, which
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of had a cool conversation in like your college and within the public.
Absolutely. So the source of it all came from my frustration my senior year of college when it was just like you're getting ready to be this professional theater person and you're going to get ready to move to New York City, and it was almost like an army like training. Our program was really really stern and
Mm.
strict on us, so I was looking for the outlet, an artistic outlet that I could do on my own, as opposed to theater where you're standing in front of a group of people asking them if you're good enough, especially in a school atmosphere where it's like you're not, they tell you, you're not good enough yet, so you're going to get lots of opinions, so you just assume, I'm not really ready for this, but please tell me that I am, so that when I go and try this. So art was never like that for me because I never cared what anybody thought, and I could literally do it all on my own. You could do a musical on your own, but you're going to be a crazy person. You kind of need a group of
Yeah,
people to help you out with it.
sure.
Yeah, so it was something I could do on my own. And I had found a stack of "Hello, my name is" stickers. I had a course in theater where you're forced to like sell tickets to the upcoming shows. You have to put in your hours in the box office as a freshman. So I found this box of stickers and I was doodling on them. And then I started putting them up in the break room, and I put them all up over the areas where people would congregate and smoke. And like Instagram was like just coming about. I think this is like 2007, maybe 2008. I
Hmm.
don't even know. Like, I think my friend had just gotten that first brick iPhone, that big silver thing that came out. It was only on AT&T or whatever. But so people were taking pictures of them, and the idea of like texting photos on phones that were better for taking pictures was happening. So I kind of realized early on that like there was something about this that was like exciting for people to engage in, which is one of the other reasons why I love sticker art, because you can put your sticker up in a location and then a week later you go back and someone else has put their sticker up, and they've like begun the conversation that is like the reason why sticker artists become obsessed with it, because It's this like unspoken bond and conversation where you can soon realize that like your sticker is next to the same other artist sticker all over town everywhere because they know you and they like your work. And then there's big groups of people who get together, and yeah, it's like it was this communication I was having with people, and it was really cool. So then I started drawing, what I consider to be better drawings of the characters that I was doing, and I would scan them and then blow them up really big, and then I started wheat pasting them around the my college campus too. So I kind of just started doing the same thing when I moved to New York City when I had graduated. Um, when I graduated college in 2010. And so I had moved, and one night I went out to the West Village. I had made all of these round stickers that kind of resembled coins, but like they were very gay, very phallic, lots of like penises and rainbows and just like
Yes.
all these like, I moved to New York City to be like a badass artist, and I'm the new Banksy. I'm the new gay Banksy, bitch. So like, let's do this. So I get my stickers and I go around Chinatown and Wooster Street and just like everywhere downtown in Soho that I can. And a couple weeks later, I get an email message because there was a little TY written on all of the stickers. I don't put my website on them. I think that's a little much,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like the website on the sticker is it's clear who made it, but it's also a little more fun if you can just like leave a little hint, and if somebody really
Yes.
wants to
Some
know, they'll
mystique.
figure it. Yeah, a little mysterious to it. So they found me and they contacted me and they were like, hey, we took a trip to New York City to check out like street art scene, and we're putting together this show in LA called The History of Queer Street Art. And like we saw like your rainbow stickers and stuff. And it's like you're like a new age little like Keith Haring out there just doing your thing. Like you're obviously making like waves in the city. And like I had just moved to New York like 5 months ago, but they're like, you're making waves in the city, man. Like you're doing the damn thing. Like we'd love to have you out to LA. Like how much would your fee be? And like could you have pieces ready? And like could you get some bigger stickers made and all this stuff? And I was just completely overwhelmed. And I called my dad and I was like, holy shit. Like these people think that I'm some artist. They think that like I have some following or something. And then my dad was like, look, you tell me you're frustrated with theater. Like you went to school in Texas. We helped you, we paid for your degree in theater. And now you're saying you've moved to New York City. You're doing theater. You don't want to do it anymore. And you want to draw now. And so you're drawing, and then there's people who think you're some artist. So what do you want to do? Pick your way. You're going to be some artist. Like if they think you're some big artist and you want to be some big artist, then decide that today and you be some big artist. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to be some big artist. Like that seems way more cool than like doing musical theater to me, and just sort of never looked back. So went to LA, did that show, came back. Some people in Miami caught wind of that. I go to Miami to do these live paintings for the Miami-Dade Gay and Lesbian Business Foundation. And some guy from HGTV, David Bromstad, he has a bunch of TV shows on there, buys the paintings, puts them on his TV shows. That leads into, it's like, from that moment, it was like a crossroads, and I did make the right choice, luckily.
God damn, who would have thunk that it just snowballs from like you just moving to New York, stickers in like the West
Yeah.
Village area, and all of a sudden like David from HGTV's buying paintings and they're on TV and shit. Wow, what a
I mean,
journey.
I was so inspired by Exit Through the Gift Shop as well, because it was like 2010,
So good.
2011. Oh my God. And it was like, the absolute phenomenon of Banksy was so cool. And I just thought it would be, great that there's like this street artist celebrity out there. Because I knew of Keith Haring, of course, who did his fair amount of street art, who's one of my biggest artistic inspirations, but also his best friend, Kenny Scharf, who's an artist from the Lower East Side who came up in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, I mean, so I had some favorites of mine who had done graffiti in New York City, but then this whole era of like street artist celebrity came, and I was like, well, I'm going to be the gay one. Okay. Or something like that. And then it got, and then it even got bigger than I imagined, 10 years later down the road, doing projects for Apple and all sorts of other crazy situations, doing commercials for Samsung on Fox TV. It's like, I can't even I
Yeah,
can't even imagine it either. And I did it. It's
exactly.
like,
Well, that's
it's a
that.
dream.
Yeah, that sounds it. That's so cool to hear, and it's fun to hear some of those origin stories of how that where some of it kind of started to be where it all began. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and I can only attribute it to the fact that I didn't want it so bad that I choked it to death. Like I had killed
That's
theater
interesting.
because I wanted to be on Broadway so bad. Like I don't know, it almost leads me to believe the people who are like, oh, you find love the moment you stop looking for it. And I'm like, that's bullshit. I've tried that before. Okay. I'm not looking for love. Where is it? Okay, but genuinely, like in my heart of hearts, this is the only time I could do it. It's like I didn't want it so bad. And so that may be something about me. That may be something about humans in general, wants and needs. I don't know. But uh, it was just something that I sort of fell into. And it doesn't feel fair at all because I didn't major in art. I never took a drawing class. I never really did anything like that. So I have a friend who's like, dude, I got an MFA. He's like, I spent 5 years getting my master's in communication design, taking graphic design courses and, studying and studying. And then he got his master's in it too. He's like, I probably still have not made nearly as much money off my art as you have. So, I mean, that just goes to tell you there's no real way to do it. It just kind of, I think, comes to the people who want it or deserve it. And if you can be at a vibration or a frequency where you can realize that and say yes to it, then it'll come
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah. No, I am with you on that. I think that's powerful. There's a lot of things you said in there that I think I'm totally with you. And for you to kind of, like you said, you're not like classically trained in whatever design or this and that, but you just had this vision, this drive, and you're just kind of not taking no for an answer and going a little bit outside the box where it's like, I'm going to start with stickers here just for shits and
Yeah.
gigs for fun. And then, that sparks this huge thing where some people are like, I need to do client work or this, or there's a path. It's
Yeah.
like, you never really know how things are going to kind of pop off. So
No, and the best thing ever that I realized it was that, if I'm going to be an actor, I'm going to have to pretend to be a lot of different type of people and, this professional person. But like when you're the artist, you can just like, it is the ultimate permission to be yourself. Like you better go in there and not be like anybody else because that's not going to fly. You kind of
yeah.
have to, you could really stretch your like eccentric muscles and be weird and go in there in a fur coat in June. And they're like, we love it. We love it. Oh my God, he only has one tooth left. That's everything, honestly. It's like
Sure.
I started painting luxury bags for the team at Barney's, and it was just like I could kind of do anything. And that higher level client, people they're just like, oh my gosh, that is really remarkable. It's only 600. 600. That's a steal. That's a steal. You're just like, oh my God, where are these clients? I want them all the time.
That is that is amazing. Just to kind of piggyback off of what you said in the beginning and just what you were
Yeah,
saying now, where you're like, being an artist, you can kind of be your 100% authentic self. So you said that you're a queer artist.
yeah,
You grew up in Texas, and the thing that I was going to bring up is that like when people see your work, they're just immediately going to be struck by like the big, bright, bold colors. So
yeah,
I'm just wondering what does the role of your sexuality play in your artwork? How does the
totally.
kind of color palette inform what you're up to?
Yeah, I think I've always been inspired, of course, by the rainbow flag and that being representative. Each color, the designers of the first pride flag signifying that each color would represent a special sect or sentiment towards the LGBT community. But I think I think originally, before I had come out, like living in Texas, my way of sort of living out loud while not being able to tell anyone or feeling comfortable to tell anyone I was gay was by wearing bright colors. And American Apparel had sort of just become sort of like popular when I was in high school. And I remember I went with some friends and it was my first time there. And it was like, a cool, new, exciting, fun store. And like I was a teenager, so it was awesome for me. And I spent like $50 on this purple hoodie. And I just remember thinking like, it's so cool. It's so colorful. Like, this is who I am inside. This is like this is like me screaming to people in some sort of way. And I remember when I brought it home, my mom was like, are you sure that you want to wear a purple hoodie? You want a purple one? You didn't want any of the other colors? And I was just like, no, I didn't want any other colors. I really wanted it to be purple. Why? Why? And she's like, oh no, no reason, no reason. So Southern, so sorry, no reason, no reason. And I'm just like, no reason. So I'm like, good, it worked. Like, she's worried. She knows, like, I'm living out loud over here now. Like, I've got something to say and I'm not afraid to sort of stand out. So I think from the very beginning, and a little bit of the rebellious side where, like, if at all my mother was hinting towards me, oh, don't wear too bright of colors. Well, look at me now. Okay, sis, look at me now. Like, look what you got. Don't tell me not to do it. I might do it 200 times harder, like, for better or
Sure.
worse, for better or
Yep.
worse. So that's really where that comes from. And then I guess the rainbows being attributed to the art, a lot of the time I turn all of the teeth into a rainbow color sort of assortment. It's so that you can sort of see that that's rainbows there, and that you will make that connection. Oh, there's a rainbow in there. It's some gay shit probably. Like, it's just the calling card to it. Not only do I of course love every single color, but making sure that you put them all in order: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Like, making sure that all of those are there in order, I think, to me, without having to make it sexual in sight, so that you get that it's like queer in nature. But yeah, I think throwing the rainbow in there for me. And plus, even outside of like my understanding and knowledge of the rainbow, in all communities, everybody embraces it. Church embraces it. Children embrace it. I was at J. Crew not long ago, and there's a whole rainbow collection for kids out. And yeah, I think it has a lot to do with happiness and positive energy, good vibes only, that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I applaud that. I mean, I think, yeah, good vibes. I think I was looking at some of your pieces where you're kind of promoting like connection and connection
Yeah,
and compassion, and those are important ideals. And forever we need
absolutely.
to hear we need those, but maybe now more than ever. But it's cool to see you promoting those.
Yeah, and I mean, I was directly inspired to continue to keep a queer theme in my art from Keith Haring, who was also a queer artist. And it came up a lot in his art, sometimes didn't, but that's what made it important for me to remember to keep like elements of social justice and civil justice for people, especially with what we're all going through right now. So a lot of the time, like, most of my work is donated to the Trevor Project, the Tyler Clementi Foundation. Let's see, a couple of different other organizations, the Queer Center for Gay Seniors in Queens. I've donated a lot of masks to them recently that I've been producing, and Mount Sinai and NYU Medical as well. And I've done a decent amount of work for RED, which is an AIDS organization raising money for the AIDS effort in Africa. And yeah, donating paintings to auction off at silent auctions that lots of queer charities have. I did a project where I did the window displays for Rag and Bone, and then I was able to ask them, hey, will you guys
Saw those.
donate? Yeah, I was like, will you guys donate a percentage of sales on this day? Like, have a party in your store at these 40 stores, and like for 2 hours serve some rainbow cupcakes, and then donate a high percentage of your sales to the Trevor Project. And they were like, okay. So it's just, you can kind of even creatively come up with those ideas to continue to give back to the community, or at least use your voice, as a platform for other things that are going on, like Black Lives Matters.
Yeah, I commend you on that. I was gonna bring that up. But I'm happy you brought that up now. The amount of work you've done for so many of these organizations is it's really incredible. And as for what I'm trying to do in my life, and I'm hoping that other people at some point, like when you have a voice, when you have a platform, when you're doing good work, like I think in my eyes, I don't know if everybody agrees, but I feel like there is a responsibility to give back in some way, in
Yeah.
some to organizations that you believe in that are doing work. So to see all the work you've done, it's really inspiring, and I applaud you for the doing all that.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's amazing to be able to do that, and to find organizations to partner with, like Habitat for Humanity came into my life 2 years ago, and I designed a Pride T-shirt for them in order to hopefully like raise some funds. And it just like sold out the day they put it on their website. They were asked to do a reissuing of the shirts like the following year, or at least an updated one. And so now I'm in tight with like the fabulous group of people at Habitat for Humanity, because specifically they were working on a housing project for LGBT seniors affected from HIV, who are still living in New York City, who are affected by it in the 70s and 80s, who deserve free housing at this point for having been part of such a horrific time in New York City, and to have them made their way out of it. So it's the first time that Habitat for Humanity was able to do anything super specific for the LGBT community outside of participating with Pride. So I thought it was really special to be a part of that. And I still do lots of different paintings for them internally. And so, yeah, I mean, I would have been marching with them this year again at Pride, but you know, we'll be together again in 2021.
Yeah, we'll get back. Like you said, 2021 we'll be back once all this coronavirus stuff kind of dwindles or just disappears or whatever. But
Yeah, hopefully.
hopefully, yeah. But it's really cool to see all in how many ways, and in how many ways you're giving back in what you've done. And you know, it's just going to continue to grow and expand. So I can't wait to see what else you kind of come up with and create.
Awesome.
What's the balance look like between you working on clothing and then you working on designs or painting? Like, how do you know when it's time to work on what?
Yeah, I would say just sort of based on the way I'm feeling. I mean, oddly enough, during COVID, I haven't been too super inspired to paint. So I've been looking at lots of my old drawings and manipulating them digitally and turning them into different types of patterns and having them sewn into different types of clothes. So I use a factory, and they come up with like different types of patterns and products, and they let me throw my designs on them and order a bunch of samples at a time. So I've actually got like, I don't know, something like 100 different pieces of, I've ordered, like, I formatted some duffel bags, diaper bags, silk kimonos. Like
Ooh,
I got watches. I got some watches, lots of grocery bags because of the bag ban now in New York City. So I'm like, okay, people, you have to bring your bags now. And yeah, lots of other wild stuff. So I'm going to be probably focusing on that for like 2 or 3 months, getting it all photographed and listed on my website. But I think after that, I'm definitely going to want to start to do some more large scale paintings. Unfortunately, I just had to move out of my studio due to COVID. So I have a bunch of blank canvases sitting right in my room, staring me in my face. So I think it's time to paint those bad boys.
yeah, I saw that. I saw that COVID kind of forced you to do that, which
Yeah, it was a group. It was sort of a group, um, sort of like a bunch of us. I mean, there was like 6 or 7 of us in there, which kept the price great for all of us. And really, there was never more than like 2 or 3 people at a time. But with COVID, someone left to California, someone went back home, you know, to wherever they lived. And so 2 people dropped out, and then 2 more were like, hey, I don't think I can do this next month. And it's like, I don't think I'm going to find 4 people who are like gung ho about moving into a group studio right now. So
yeah,
it was just like unfortunate as it was. Yeah. But you know, it was more difficult until it was like sad. And then I moved out and I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. You know, it's like, okay, I'll still live. I moved out. I have all this stuff in my, you know, in my apartment now, but yeah,
yeah. I mean,
it'll be
moving
fine.
out of the studio is not going to kill the drive to consistently create great
No,
things. So
no, if anything, it's going to reignite it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
To get back out there.
Yeah. So we touched on Pride a little bit, and I know that you've given back so much to so many like LGBTQ communities. What was you at one point you designed a dripping in Pride collection that was kind of in tandem
Yeah,
with
totally.
Pride Month, or what was that all about?
Yeah, so I had done this project with Lokai, which is a wellness brand. They sell these bracelets where there's like grains of the sand from the Dead Sea at like the top of your bracelet, and then at the bottom side there is drops of water from like a stream in Mount Everest. So it's like the highest point and the lowest point on Earth, and it's like stay
Mm.
balanced. Okay, it's like mindfulness type thing. And they were doing this brand new project where they were releasing these water bottles, these recycled aluminum water bottles, to encourage people to stop drinking single-use plastics. And I designed this drip going down the bottle, and they wanted me to custom paint 100 of them and sign them and number them, and to go along with this dripping sticker as well. And so I did the project with them. It had like crazy demand. It sold out in like 30 minutes. It was really, really very, very exciting. And that just kind of made me realize like, oh, this is like a whole thing. So it was like, this is way bigger than a sticker. This is like way bigger than, I didn't even know. So then I formatted the dripping rainbow artwork on just this whole multitude of like these 10 different items that I had, and released it. And it just got like a ton of attention. And the people at, was it Us Weekly? It's like I thought it was just for gossip magazines, but there was this like style section. So I used to be a waiter. I was a waiter, and this guy, he was like, I work at Us Weekly, and I'm like, yeah, but he's like, I'll never be able to get you in, but I work at Us Weekly. I wish you were famous enough so I could put an ugly picture of you in Us Weekly or something. I was like, I know, that would be so fierce. But then he was like, hey, they're doing this like Pride thing. They want Pride products. Like, that's you. I can finally get you in. Email this editor. And I email her. And then, of course, like later I go to Saks, like I told you, for that other interview, to do something with them for Pride. And I show her my coverage that I got for myself in Us Weekly. And she was like, look, 3 products down from Levi. She's like, I was working at Levi. I pitched them too, and I got on this page too. She's like, look at us, we're pitch sisters or something like that. And I was like, see, this is the crazy cosmic stuff that like comes my way that I don't understand. But then I'm like, okay, there's these moments where you just realize you're in the right place at the right time. And that's one of the big things that Keith Haring constantly writes about. He's like, all my time I spend worrying, and all my time I'm like scared, and I take too many mushrooms at some club in Tokyo or whatever. And I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm going to end up dead. And then I get on a plane and I'm thinking about life. And then Grace Jones gets on the plane and sits down next to me. He's like, and then I realize, okay, like, God, I must be doing the right thing. Like, this has to be. And then they have some conversation. And that's why he ends up painting clothes for Grace Jones for her like concert at Madison Square Garden, where she wears this like 300-yard huge dress, and she gets like lifted up on this crane, and it's like Keith Haring has painted the entire thing. It's like those cosmic moments.
Yeah, those crazy synchronicities that lead to
Yeah.
whatever it is, Us Weekly or painting Grace Jones.
Sure,
Uh,
sure. Hopefully the
that's that.
latter.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that kind of translates into the next thing. So I was gonna say, like, how do I transition here? I'll start here. So, let's say you're about to paint something like a Birkin bag, or let's say something like
Oh
Bob the
no.
drag queen's dress, which
Sure.
was or I guess it was a red carpet gown, which was absolutely stunning. It looked
Thanks.
like a big butterfly kind of. It,
Yes.
it
Yeah,
was really.
totally.
Do you get nervous before having projects like that, or is your process kind of dialed in?
The Bob the drag queen thing was specifically fast and scary because he said it was something like, he told me 2 months before the date, like, hey, I think that this could be a possibility. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. He's probably just being like New York nice, which like New York nice is when you tell someone, you're like, oh my God, yeah, we're gonna like, we should totally perform together. Like, let's write a musical next week. Like, let's do it. And you're like, we're never gonna do
I've never heard New York nice, but I'm going to use that from now on. That is
it.
so amazing.
It's just like, I'm from Texas, and I know when people are just being nice because they're just wanting to be nice that day, or just say something sweet. But like, New York nice is different. It's like, oh, we should totally go to Dubai together. Like, you meet someone and you're like, oh my God, she has this yacht. Like, we're totally going to hang out. And then you realize,
Yeah.
oh, I'm never going to see her again. So I thought he was just being like, yeah, you should make a dress for me, girl. Like, it'll be real cute, real fierce. And then sure enough, he says, hey, you're still making that dress, right? Not like, oh, you only have 2 days. Hope you don't have work. hope you don't have a life. No, but that's a drag queen, please. All the girls are like that. All the girls want their dress in 2 days, and it's just like their schedule's crazier than yours. Sorry, you lose. Like, no matter what, a drag queen schedule is crazier than yours. So I had 2 days to do it, and I told my boss, and she was super supportive, and she was like, don't even worry about work. I'm going to cover your shifts for you. This is my baby's opportunity. Like,
Wow.
this is so good for you. Oh yeah. Cause they know, like, they understood like my hustle. And at this point it was like, this will be the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. So you're going to be the one to stand in front of it. So luckily she gave me the time off work, and I painted the dress fairly quickly. He didn't even get to see it. He had been fit into it twice. He just, all he said was like, just, make it come in the middle, and then just, it's going to give the, like like the illusion, like of a thin illusion, because it's going to come in on the side. So it's going to, naturally sort of cut me down. It's going to look really elegant. It's got to be really elegant. And I'm like, I don't think what I do is elegant. I don't understand. I don't know. This is really like pop art. This is not elegant, but it really did turn out that way. And it's all thanks to Domino Couture, the seamstress who created it, designed it, and sewed it. And yeah, she came. Domino got the dress from me. I dropped. She came. Yeah, she came and picked it up from me. Went straight to the airport. Flew to LA. Fit her for it, and then she like wore it later that night. And it was like, oh my god, I hope it's not still wet. Oh my god, I hope like. But I mean, it was all dried and everything came out really well. And then she thanked me later on Facebook. And this was season 8. I think right now we're at like season 13 or 14 of Drag Race. It's become a true empire. It has representation in Canada, Thailand, Australia. I mean, they have tons of different ones now, but it was still like a really focused big deal. And so she thanked me on Instagram, and I got like 9 or 10,000 followers that night. It was like my phone was like just shaking, exploding in
Wow.
the corner. I know, it was like such a big deal, and it was so cool. And he said my name on the carpet to anybody who asked him. He couldn't have been better about it. And that was really the best part, is one queer artist supporting another, and
Yeah, yeah.
him doing like, I mean, not to be rude at all, but it's the absolute bare minimum that anyone should do, which is to say the artist name and to give credit to, which is something I'm recently a little ticked off about, is not enough people giving credit to original artists and stuff like that. There's lots of really meaningful and impactful artwork going around concerning like Black Lives Matters, and lots of like the deaths of recent celebrities and things, and that art gets stolen so quickly and reposted. It's really like scary. I've been stolen from once, and luckily got them to back down. It took a while,
Nice.
but yeah, that was kind of, it was really fun actually. It was like, it was exciting. So but yeah, I recently had a friend who made some artwork. It got stolen, and some guy just started selling it on t-shirts like an hour after he posted it on his Instagram. And
That's so
so we all
fucked
kind of,
up.
yeah, it's just crazy. And this person was like another queer person, some like body positive artist who's like, just designed this new t-shirt. I'm like, I messaged him like, how in your right mind can you try and come across as some like queer rights supporter, body positive something, and you're just stealing this, mind you, a queer Mexicans artist. Like, if you're wanting to talk about being a marginalized person, you can't steal art from another marginalized person and try and sell it an hour later. It's just so tacky. But yeah, that got me good today. That actually happened yesterday. But he took the art down, and he apologized to everybody who messaged him and stuff. He's like, "You're absolutely right. I'm sorry." I'm like, all right. Just so don't do it again. Shitty thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple like a couple people have seen, I don't follow the account Diet Prada, but there's
Yeah.
been a couple things, especially since BLM started, that
Yeah.
it seems like there's been a lot of, I mean, it's been going on forever where, big corporations or bigger name artists will just like blatantly steal other works and be like, "What are you talking about? I thought of this." It's like,
Yeah.
come
Who said
on.
it? Picasso something? Great artists don't borrow, they steal. I mean, that's very provocative, but like that's also very shitty. Like, good for you, Picasso, but whatever.
Well, when I ask this, I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm just wondering, have you ever have you ever created something and when it was like quote unquote done, you're kind of like, ooh, this was a turd?
Yeah, yeah,
Or do
yeah,
you
yeah.
always kind of,
So I've stopped starting drawings on canvas. I didn't used to, I still do, all the confidence in the world to get my paint marker and just like go, because my starting world was painting live at different like clubs or raves and stuff. Like I said, when I got back from LA for doing the history of queer street art show, I went to Miami and did these paintings live. They were like, we want you to do them live and then we're going to bid on them afterwards. So I kind of took that model to this club in Brooklyn called Metropolitan. It's a really great queer bar, and they had this party there called Hot Fruit, and I painted there live every Monday night for like a year, or like 7 months or something. It felt like a year, but 7 months over the span of a year. And I just like had this like massive collection of paintings, but I did them all live. So I just hadn't ever really taken time to create studio work, which is just slower. It's more meaningful. I'm not like having a cocktail while I'm doing it, or trying to meet someone, or I don't know,
yeah,
trying to network.
live is high pressure too.
It is. But like I had just come out of a world where I wanted to do theater. So this performative version of visual art was like everything to me. It was exactly what I needed. I was being seen by people. I got direct contact with them. They could ask me questions. I could tell them about my style. I was so happy to be in New York City. I was so eager. I was so scrappy. But now the work, oh, it just looks so much better when I don't when I plan it. As much as I don't want to plan anything and I want everything to be spur of the moment and improvisational, because I really really do thrive in like improvisational atmospheres. I've been on several proper improv teams in my theater days, so lending that to art in a sort of way, I also got results that were like, whoa, if I hadn't felt like on the spot, like I needed this to be so badass, like I wouldn't have probably gotten these results. So I liked the element of still painting live, but I'm 32 now, which is not to say that that's very, very old, but like I really don't enjoy painting live so much. The questions, I've gotten older, but the questions stay the same. And it's just like, it's
Exactly.
very, and as much as you want to be engaged in your artwork, I think sometimes it's like, oh God, someone's going to talk to me, or you may not be in the mood. So it really does take a lot of you. So I think the work now it's more meaningful, it's deeper, it's more planned, it looks more intricate, and it sells for more money. How about that?
There you go.
How about that?
Onward and upward.
Because,
That's great.
it's all about them bills at the end of the day.
Yeah, we got to support ourselves for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Have you randomly walked across or come across somebody wearing your piece out in the wild? And if so,
Yeah.
what was your reaction?
Um, I think I think for sure there's been a few times where I've been too nervous to like, oh, that's me. I made that, or I designed that. But for the most part now, like if I see it in New York City, I probably know you. Probably. It's like most of the stuff I've done, I've sold in person at Bushwig, which is like this queer drag festival, or I don't know though, because I get out less and less. And especially with COVID going on, the opportunity for in-person pop-up shops, which is like a huge part of my business, is, networking with other queer artists and showing up at pop-up shops and meeting the performers and food vendors and grouping up and doing different little store things at different places. No, I don't see that many people. Now I see people wearing the masks. I did a Black Lives Matter march a couple of months ago and I saw some people in the mask, but like out of respect for the atmosphere, I didn't exactly run up to them and fangirl over them. But
Sure.
but yeah, if I see anyone in it, I'll run up to you now and say, hey, hopefully get a picture.
Oh, that's amazing. I feel like that's got to
Yeah.
be just like the coolest
More than
feeling.
anything, other people see it and text me photos, and that is just as good as me seeing it. It still makes me so happy, at
Yeah.
least once a month.
Oh, yeah. I at one point when we had some like stickers for the band or this or that, like I forget, there was like a server wearing our shirt, and my buddy texted me a picture. He's like, "Hey, this server's wearing your shirt,"
Yeah,
and I think, like you said, getting a picture from like somebody else texted to you,
it's
that's a
cool.
cool feeling. Yeah.
That's right. Your band, you performed in front of my mural at Brooklyn Brewery.
Yeah, that's exactly, actually, I was gonna mention that, and then I totally
No
glossed over it.
way.
But yeah,
That's awesome.
and that photo I posted was like, that's like one of my most liked photos on Instagram ever. And I think just
Well,
I was wearing I was wearing like this red top that kind of popped with the red in your and on
it's like
top.
velvet though. It's like very romantic and sexual. I love it. I think
Yeah,
it's very hot. I love that picture.
that mural was stunning, and it like the stage was right in front of it. So to have that, and it was a big piece too. So to have that as the
Yeah.
backdrop, like every photo that kind of came out of that night, just looked super cool with that in the backdrop. So
Nice. Awesome.
yeah. So, you mentioned clients like, Brooklyn Brewery, Rag and Bone, Saks, Apple. Who's like a dream client you'd like to work with, or like a dream person you'd want to dress?
Oh, you know, of course I painted these Doc Martin platform heel boots for women. And everyone that saw them were like, "Oh my God, these would be perfect on Lady Gaga." Like these are
Yes.
like this is the closest you've ever come to an item for her. Like this is hand painted. It's neon pink and orange dripping paint, and it's just like juicy popping. Yeah, I want to dress some other monster so bad. Like my brand lends itself to her. Yeah, I know it's been like that's been the goal for a while, but her or Kesha. I mean, I've tried to send stuff to Kesha so many times because she's not in a like a stadium tour world that Lady Gaga's in, where she's like really difficult to get to. Um, but yeah, definitely her or Kesha. That'd be good.
Well, there's time. We're still young. You got a lot
Yeah.
of work ahead of you.
Hey.
So yeah, we're
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
what's a lesson, or what are some life lessons that art has kind of taught you?
I think it's like a lesson I'll learn over and over again, but I guess it kind of goes back to the beginning of things, which is just like, don't try so hard. Don't try so hard to be what other people want. Because really, like, even if it came down to theater, you can be the most talented one in the room. It's not always about the most talented one in the room, it's who they want to work with. If you can be someone that other people constantly want to be around and work with, you'll get work. You could suck and you'll still get work. Like, wait until I would say come to New York City and see some of the bad theater. Like, go see a horrible actress on Broadway. Nothing will make you feel better about yourself than seeing a horrible actor end up on Broadway, because it's just like there's room for all. That person has a sparkling personality that they turned on in their audition that got them paid and on Broadway, baby. So you don't worry. You just need to be the one that they want to work with. That's the truth.
Yeah, I I think that's powerful and amazing. Is that something you would tell up and coming like artists and designers as well, or what would you kind of tell them?
Sure. I would say don't be too overly confident. Let's make sure you have a great product. I don't have like I know my product is great. So I have all the confidence in the world around it. I've tested it. I've worn it 1,000 times. I've washed it. I make sure the paintings aren't going to fall apart. Like there's integrity behind the work I make. You can't just make crap and try and sell it for extra money. It's going to fall apart and people are going to see you for who you truly are. But yeah, I would say like there's just a million reasons not to do something all the time. Like there's still reasons for me not to be doing art and that I should maybe become an assistant again for someone or work on something. Well, you think, "Oh, I don't have a job where I get insurance. Maybe that doesn't make me an adult." No, you're still an adult. Just because you don't have a job that gives you insurance, just because you believed in like the patriarch so deeply when you were growing up that you think you need certain things to be an adult. Growing up in a career in art today is not like it is in history books for anyone. The route for an artist is always changing, and you don't need to have gone to a special school, and you don't need to be the most best still life drawer in the class. Okay, you can carve your way through it, but you just have to keep going. you know no 50%, we need 150%.
That's right. Yeah, and I like that, carve your way through it, and I think that'll be good to hear. So once this airs, I hope some of the artists and the people that listen kind of take note, because I
Yeah.
feel like in some of my things, to use your still life analogy, I'm definitely in every endeavor. I'm not a good still life drawer, but I'm just willing to give 150% on whatever it is. And I can kind of turn
Yeah.
on some of that sparkling personality when need be. So if that gets me
Yeah.
in front of Broadway, um, yeah, I'll
Perfect.
take it.
Perfect.
Are you ever
Yeah.
satisfied? Are you always kind of staying hungry?
It's like something cool happens, you see something of yours on TV and it can last for, 2 or 3 days. It's like why I'm scared to ever get plastic surgery because I know, like, come on, one day it's not gonna feel the same as the day after you saw it. So I think I allow myself to celebrate a little bit of success, but you absolutely know you haven't like made it. You haven't arrived anywhere, bitch. Okay, so just relax. You're still in your apartment. There's still a pandemic. You have these fun moments, you enjoy that spotlight while you have it because you're going to be back schlepping your canvases back from Dumbo to get to some other place, or you're going to meet some real estate guy who's like, oh, I have a building somewhere and I'm bringing in people to rent these apartments, I'd love to put your pieces in the building. It's like, well, when I was in my 20s, I was the one carrying all of these paintings or renting a U-Haul. It's like, don't worry, you're going to be putting in your sweat equity like in 3 hours, so enjoy your little moments because but yeah, I think I always stay hungry though because yeah, can't ever get too complacent with it.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're saying. I think that's healthy, where you realize that, hey, I get a chance to kind of celebrate the small and big victories, but you just know that it's impermanent. So whether that's a
Yeah.
day, a week, you know that you're gonna be like, hey, in a week, I'm gonna be fucking. It's gonna be 90 degrees in New York. I'm
Yeah,
carrying
I'm
canvases,
gonna
and
be
this.
waiting tables again probably, like I'll be back to a day job or whatever.
Yeah, so it's good to remain humble. I like that.
Yeah.
And then just to kind of wind things down, what's the message or what's the takeaway that you'd like for people to kind of come away from your looking at your work?
Hmm. I think the takeaway that people should get from my work is to lighten up, take a deep breath, be kinder, to like possibly enjoy the simpler things in life, which is, color, light, love. I think it can be very simple. I should just hope that someone can look at a piece of clothing I have on someone or a painting in a special spot and just smile.
Yeah, I mean, there it is. I think that's important. And
Yeah.
just, yeah, color.
If it can bring, yeah, if it could bring emotion to someone in that way, if it could bring happiness to someone, if it could bring some type of thought provoking, situation for them, I think that would be great. And hopefully it does it in a positive way. Because I don't really title my work, which I think a lot of people find very annoying. I'll do an art show and they'll ask me the names, and I'm like, untitled 1 through 13. And they're like, wow, so artistic. So good. That's really neat. We love what you did there. It's like people really do want you to hold their hand when it comes to art sometimes because I think it can make them like nervous.
Intimidated, maybe.
Mine isn't, yeah, intimidated. That's the perfect word. Like a lot of the art at like the Metropolitan Museum is very intimidating. Sure, it's medieval, some of it, but like mine, not so much. So, though I still don't want to title it because I want people to form their own opinions. So, yeah.
I think that's great. That's amazing. And just kind of wondering, I know it's kind of tough to predict what the fuck is going to happen, but what's kind of next for you in the coming months, year?
I just designed album artwork for this really great queer singing group, I guess. Well, it's not a group, it's two people. It's a duo. So they're called Fab the Duo. They're great. I just designed a little single cover album art for them for their new song coming out. Um, Other than that, I'm just working on like a lot of new custom paintings. I've gotten a couple people who've reached out with a color palette and a size, and so I'm going to do some custom paintings for some different spaces. But I'll just be listing a ton of my new merch, a bunch of new clothing items that I've just recently designed. I'll be going through all of those, photographing them and listing them all up on my website and my Instagram and stuff like that. So little like digital sample sale moment coming up.
There it is. Great. I look forward to seeing that. And since I'm going to edit this, I'm just going to backtrack one thing because I just wanted to kind of
Yeah.
ask something. But you're talking about, some of the like Bushwig and some of the kind of drag events you've done or been involved with. How did you kind of get involved in that community in the first place?
So I got involved with the drag community in Brooklyn by participating in this party every Monday at Metropolitan Bar called Hot Fruit. And the nature of the party was that there would be like 3 or 4 local Brooklyn drag queens performing throughout the night. The 2 different DJs would be featured, and then there would be Tyler Wallach. Like, I just started showing up basically, and they're like, "Do you want to like be on the poster? Do you want like a drink ticket for showing up for free?" And I was like, "Free alcohol? What? I'm living. I don't need money."
So good.
Yeah, so I just through that, like, I mean, I have to say, if I were a patron, I would have wanted to go meet the weird artists too. Like, I was painting live on top of a tarp, on top of a skee ball machine, in like the very back of this bar near the bathroom. So it was like everybody needed to go to the bathroom eventually. So these people would come back and see me back there, like just like painting on top of the skee ball machine and kind of like, "What are you doing back here?" The party's like at the front near the bar where the DJ is and stuff. It's like, "No, I do this every Monday night. It's like better than painting at home." And the philosophy behind it was that I would get to meet everybody that I would want to meet, and I would be on display. Like, how much attention do you expect to get if you're an artist who's painting in their tiny New York apartment, and then what? You like take a picture of it and you can show it to some people, but I wanted to increase the number of eyes on my artwork. So I took it to the streets, and that's how I met every drag performer, burlesque dancer, queer artist, drag king, DJ, you name it, from the wildest to the weirdest. Every species and gender of person came through Metropolitan Bar, and oddly enough, I was there to meet them. And sometimes it was like special performers and people who was like, "Oh yeah, I remember you from years ago at that place." And then we would meet up at Bushwig every year, the drag festival. And yeah, I've been selling my merchandise at that for 6 years. So now I'm seeing, the people who come to that year after year. And so it just got me involved with that world to where I was so close with people in the drag community. It's designers, it's hair designers and costume designers, that when RuPaul's Drag Race became so mainstream that it was on television, that the girls were looking for like, interesting new different types of designs, like a hand painted gown for the red carpet, that I was just naturally someone that came to mind. So it was just something that was honestly, 7 years in the making, 7 years down the road. Someone's like, "Oh yeah, you're that guy on the skee ball machine, drunk, painting. You want to paint a dress?" And I'm like, "What? This is not. What are we doing here?"
I love the imagery of you on the tarp in the back near the bathroom. I think that's brilliant.
Well, the tarp, if they were lucky, I used to like not put the tarp on there and spill paint, and they would get mad. But I was like, it looks cool. Like it looked cool. But I guess skee ball machines are expensive. I don't know. I ruined it regardless.
Oh my God, that's so amazing.
I know. It was funny.
Tyler, thank you so much for doing this. I haven't laughed like this in a while, and it's so nice to just catch up. Like, we'll finally chat with you for a while and just learn more about you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been great, and the first, not the last time we'll chat.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon.
Great.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Gifted Conversations. If you like what you heard, please subscribe, tell a friend, or leave a review. Or if you hated it, feel free to tell me to fuck off or leave a negative comment. Anything is welcome. Appreciate the support, and I'm sending you positive thoughts and energy.